I just point to the logo on my chest and tell them, Slam Ego, Slam Ego, Slam Ego, Slam hey. Hit it up hard, hit it with a strike. From the national anthem to the bottom of the night. I'm in Slam Ego, Slam Ego, Slam Ego, Slam hey. You already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. But you know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 337 of the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden here on this Tuesday morning. The Padres, they have made another move, adding to their starting pitching depth. They're bringing in veteran starting pitcher Michael Wacha. We do not know the terms of the deal as of now. I'm expecting it to be either a one-year deal or a one-year deal with an option, kind of like the Padres did with, I believe, Seth Lugo. But yeah, that is the news today. I like the move. I don't think this is a move where it's like a total game changer. Like, oh my gosh, Michael Wacha. But it's a solid arm, someone that can eat some innings. And if you're a Padres fan, I think that's what you want, right? We wanted starting pitching this offseason. And did they bring in Carlos Rodon? No. Did they bring in Jacob deGrom? No. Did they bring in Justin Verlander? No. But we have some pretty darn good aces at the top of the rotation, right? We weren't looking for that talent, right? We were looking for guys that could fill out the rotation and probably just be better than Shamanaya and Mike Clevenger, which I don't think it was that high of a bar. Like, just be better than those guys' performances last season. Because Clevenger was hurt and he just sucked in the playoffs, couldn't get an out in game 4 of the NLCS, and Manaea was lazy at times. Like, is Michael Wacha going to be better than that? I think Wacha can be someone like Shamanaya in the regular season and eat innings. And then, do I trust him more than Manaea in the postseason? Do I trust him more than Clevenger in the postseason? I don't know my answer to that right now, but I know that I can. I think I can be able to trust them. I think it's definitely not like there's no way I'm going to be able to trust this guy come October. What are the Padres doing? Like, he has the potential to be a really good signing for the Padres. And if you look at his numbers in his career, I mean, he has postseason experience, right? That was it was a while ago with the Cardinals, but he does have postseason experience, an All-Star in 2015. Again, that was a long time ago. But that year he was an All-Star, he had a 3.38 ERA. Last year, he had a 3.32 ERA. Now, that All-Star season, it was career high in innings for him, over 180 innings. Last year, he almost got to 130. But I don't think the Padres need 180 innings from him like he delivered for the Cardinals back in 2015. What they need is someone that can just eat innings, make starts, and be consistent in the regular season at the back of that rotation and provide length, help out that bullpen, and be able to be better than Shamanaya and Mike Clevenger come playoff time. If he's pitching in game 4 or a game 5 of a playoff series, can you trust the guy, right? That's what this move is about. I think, or at least that's what the move should be about. The Padres, they could go trade for another arm before the trade deadline if the rotation doesn't look as great as it does now, if things aren't working or if there's an injury. Obviously, you hope that there's not an injury. They can obviously do that, right? They still have the guys to do that. But what we wanted going into the season, like I said earlier, was a filled out rotation. And that's what the Padres did. And they didn't just fill out the rotation this offseason. They extended Yu Darvish on a club-friendly deal, lowered his AAV from over 20 mil to 18 million. And it's a 6-year deal. Who knows if he's going to pitch for those 6 years, but they locked him up. He was a free agent at the end of the year. They got that done. That's huge for the Padres. They have Joe Musgrove. They got that extension done during last season. So he's here for the next 5 seasons, including 2023. They have Blake Snell. Hopefully he can find consistency throughout the year, not just the second half of the year. But we know he's talented. Nick Martinez works his butt off, and I think he can work in the rotation. And then they bring in Michael Wacha. They brought in Seth Lugo as well, and so you got to give credit there because I think he's going to provide an impact to this Padres team in the rotation or in the bullpen. I don't know where he's going to end up at the end of the season. I think it's probably going to be the bullpen, but we'll see how that plays out. Like his performance is going to indicate where he is probably, I would think, at the end of the season. If he's still pitching well and he's healthy, then maybe he's still in the rotation and Nick Martinez is the guy that fills the role that he filled last year. Or maybe Michael Wacha fills that fills the Nick Martinez role. If everyone's working in the rotation and they just feel like Wacha's the better guy to be in the bullpen. Or maybe Walker's in the rotation the whole year and they go with Martinez to start game 4 of NLCS or game 4 of a series. And they have Walker come in after him. They just think that's the better way to go about things. There's a lot of different things for this move. So give your thoughts in the comments if you're here live on YouTube. Joe Musgrove, according to Darnay Tripp here on Twitter, he has given his thoughts on Michael Wacha. Musgrove says, quote, a lot of experience he played with, some of the best there in St. Louis. By the way, one of those best players, at least he was in his prime then, was Matt Carpenter. So he does have familiarity with some guys on the roster. Musgrove continues here. He's pitched in some really good staffs. I know there's a lot of experience there. I've heard the personality is great, and he's a fun guy to be around. Excited to meet him. Yeah, I mean, I did want to hit on why it took so long for Michael Wacha to sign with the team. Obviously, it ended up being the Padres. It was because of his asking price. I don't think this was because of character issues or anything like that. At least I have not read or heard of any character clubhouse issues with Michael Wacha. It's just he was asking for a lot of money. Last year, he had a good year. 3.32 ERA. Over 120 innings, almost 130 innings. ERA plus was above league average. WHIP was just above 1. It was improved. It was his best WHIP since 2014. So, yeah, I mean, he had a good year. So he thought that he was going to be able to cash in kind of like some other guys did, maybe like a Ross Stripling did on the free agent market. I think he got a 2-year deal with San Francisco, I want to say. I think Shamanaya, did he get a multi-year deal? Oh, was it a 1-year deal? Might have been a 1-year deal for him. But he thought that he was going to be able to cash in like some other guys have been able to do in free agency earlier in the offseason. We don't know the money yet on this deal. We don't know the years, but he was not going to get what he was asking for. He was asking for 2 years, $30 million. The Padres, they were not going to give him $15 million a year, especially with where their payroll was. Like the money situation, they were before the Darvish extension, they were like, I think 4 million, somewhere around. They were close to the 273 number. And so they were definitely not bringing Wacha in for 15 million a year. Now they weren't going to go over it for that. But now that they extended Darvish, lowered the AAV, they were, I think, a little less than $7 million to that 273 number. So maybe they could get Wacha on a multi-year deal, maybe 2-year deal. Again, I'm just guessing. I don't know what the terms are yet of it, but maybe they get him on a multi-year deal and the AAV is like 6 mil and they're just under it. And they can make other trades as well to get even further down. But I think the Darvish extension helped get Wacha to San Diego, or maybe it didn't. And maybe Peter Seidler's like, no, AJ, you believe in Michael Wacha. The front office likes Michael Wacha. Bob Melvin likes Michael Wacha. I'll give him the money. I'll pay the tax. That's fine. Let's go. If this guy can help us win a World Series, if this guy is going to be better than Mike Clevenger was in the playoffs, if this guy is going to be better than Shamanaya was in the playoffs, then let's do it. And maybe he will be. Again, we don't know the answer to that, but I think there's the potential for him to be really good for this Padres team and be a difference maker come postseason time, assuming that the Padres are in the postseason. Let's get to the chat here. Big Island Bum says Waka is proven. Yeah, so Waka, so last year he had that 3.3 baseball reference WAR, 23 starts. The year before that, 29 starts. His ERA was over 5, but still, he posted, right, over 120 innings. 2020 was a short season. 2019, ERA 4.76. 24 starts, 29 appearances. 2017, he had 30 starts. 2018, he only had 15. So the last 3 full seasons, he's had over 120 innings. He can provide innings. Like, if he stays healthy, he'll be solid. I wanna compare Waka to, let's go with Shamania's season last year. So Shamania last year, ERA was 4.96, a negative .9 WAR, and again, Waka last year, 3.3 WAR, 3.32 ERA. How many innings? 158 innings for Manaea, 127 and a third for Waka. 28 starts for Manaea and 23 starts for Waka. So Manaea, he was out there a little bit more than Waka was. Let me check if Waka had any injuries last year. Maybe that played a part in it. He was pitching for the Red Sox last year. That was after he spent 2021 with the Rays, 2020 with the Mets, and then his last year with the Cardinals was, I believe, 2019. Okay, let's see here with Waka. So, yeah, Waka was on the IL a little bit last year. So, in May 8th, he was placed on the 15-day IL, retroactive to May 5th. Left intercostal irritation. No idea what that is. And then he came back, it looks like May 20th. So, a short IL stint there. He went back on the IL July 8th. This was for right shoulder inflammation. And then he returned August 14th. So he was out about a month, at least from the big league rotation. And then he was activated on August 14th, and then he pitched healthy the rest of the year. So did deal with some shoulder stuff and left intercostal irritation. I have no idea what that is. Let me look that up. Nerve pain. Felt nerve pain that's felt in the chest. All right. Hopefully that's not something that, is going to pop up again. Let me check. Oh, excuse me, my voice. It's messed up today. Let me check Twitter here. To see if there's anything else. By the way, Juan Soto, he is going to left field. Bob Melvin announced that today. This is from AJ Caswell. The Padres, they have discussed it, and Soto was very open to moving back to left where he started his career. Would open things up for Fernando in right field, though the Padres still aren't committing firmly to that. Why wouldn't they commit firmly to Fernando in right field? Like, they're thinking about him in center? So, him in center and Grisham in right? Is that what they would be thinking, or trading Grisham? But now that they add Wacha, it doesn't seem like they would trade Grisham when his stock is low. They already have a filled out rotation now. I don't see a Grisham trade happening right now. Maybe that's just the Padres saying we're not committing to that just to say that because they don't wanna firmly say, "Okay, Fernando is gonna be in right field." And what if it doesn't work out in spring training or something? But I would anticipate Soto being in left, Tatis being in right, Grisham being in center, and that's the outfield. When Tatis returns after the 20-game suspension, and before the 20-game suspension, probably David Dahl, Adam Engel, Jose Zokar, those guys will make up the starting right fielder. Or maybe they'll have Grisham be in right field for a little bit, and they'll have Engel play center. Engel has center field experience, so they'll have a Zokar play center. Um, I think they should just stick with Soto in left, Grisham in right. That seems to make the most sense to me. All right. Melvin, he's talked to the media, so that'll probably be up on Twitter at some point today. But let's get back to the chat. Jeremy says, huge signing. AJ wins again. I mean, yeah, I like the signing. Again, the terms have not come out yet, like the money. So I don't want to fully judge the deal until the money is out. But yeah, I like the deal. It fills out the rotation, a guy that can eat innings, a guy that we could be confident in come postseason time based on 2023 and his season. Yeah, I like it. And this allows for Bob to go to a six-man rotation, right? Before this signing before the Wacha signing, he wasn't committing to a six-man rotation. It seemed like the Padres were kicking it around, but they weren't committing to it. Like Bob essentially was telling the media, they'll do a six-man if it's warranted, like if someone earns it or if they have the talent, if they have the depth to do a six-man rotation, then they'll do a six-man rotation. But they're not gonna force it. They weren't gonna have Adrian Morejon be the sixth guy if he sucked in spring training or he could only give 3 innings, or they weren't gonna have Jay Groom go out there be the sixth guy if they weren't confident in him. They weren't gonna force it. But with this Michael Wacha deal, it looks like they don't have to force it. It looks like this will just be able to work. And they'll just do a six-man to start the year. It hasn't been confirmed. Bob Melvin hasn't said, at least as I know of. He probably can't comment on the Wacha deal yet because it's not official. He hasn't said that they're doing a six-man, but you would think Darvish, Musgrove, Snell, Martinez, Lugo, and then Wacha. And I'm saying that because maybe Padres fans, we don't think that Lugo's going to last as a starter all season long. He hasn't started consistently, if you want to call it consistently, since like 2017. That's a long time ago. But Lugo, when he came to the Padres, he was guaranteed by the Padres that he would get a chance in spring training, beginning of the season, to be in the rotation. And Nick Martinez was guaranteed that chance of being in the rotation. They signed Nick Martinez to be a starter. They signed Seth Lugo, him getting the chance to be a starter, but he could fall back to the bullpen if he doesn't work as a starter, if they get more depth, which they have. So I anticipate Lugo being in the rotation to start the season, and maybe like a month in, maybe he goes to the bullpen, or maybe 2 months in. If he's pitching well in the rotation, then he's going to stay there. You would think. I think Martinez has a better chance of lasting in the rotation longer than Seth Lugo does. Um, if Lugo goes to the bullpen, that's not a terrible thing, especially if Walker's healthy, if Snell, if Martinez, if Darvish, if Musgrove, if they're all healthy. Lugo going to the pen, that's not the end of the world. Like Lugo, he has been an impactful arm for the Mets, or he was, out of the bullpen. Buck Showalter, he trusted Lugo and Diaz. Like that was it in the bullpen in that wild card series. Like Padres fans, we know that. We were watching, right? It was okay, we're gonna go to DeGrom, then we're gonna go to Diaz or Lugo, and then we'll go to the other guy. Like that's what their plan was, really. They maybe Ottavino, you could sprinkle him in there, but like that's what their plan was. Out of the bullpen, no starts last year, 3.60 ERA. The year before, no starts, 46 games, 3.50 ERA. WHIP, not higher than 1.3 the last 2 years. And then 2019, his WHIP was below 1 in 61 games, 80 innings, 2.70 ERA. The year before that, 2.66 ERA. He started 5 games in 2018. 18 starts, the most starts he's had in the big leagues, 2017. That's a long time ago. So I just don't have a ton of faith that he's going to work out in the rotation, but he's going to provide an impact to this Padres team, regardless of what role he's in. Mito Machine with the question here, who is the odd man out on the 40-man? That's a good question. I'll look up the 40-man right now. So I want to give an educated answer. I don't want to just throw out a name and be like, oh, no, well, he's not the likeliest to be gone. The 40-man here. So maybe Pedro Avila sticks. Michelle Baez is going to stick. I don't know how high they are on Tom Cosgrove. Probably well, yeah, they do have to take someone off the 40-man now. It wouldn't be at the end of spring training. I would think that they stick with Jose Lopez during at least to start the season because he is a Rule 5 guy, so I wouldn't say him. What about Eggy Rosario? Wouldn't they just put him on the IL? Maybe they would do that with him because he has the fractured ankle. So I don't know if he's the odd man out, but it seems to me like he would be the guy to say, "All right, we're gonna put you on the IL, and that will make room for Michael Wacha." Because they're not taking Cruz off, obviously. Soto, Grisham, Engel, Carpenter, Zokar, Manny, Kim, Dixon, Crony, Bogarts. Probably not Batten when you can put Rosario on the IL. Sullivan, Nola, Campy, and then all the pitchers, they probably want to keep them on it, right? They don't want to allow another team to pick them up. So I'd probably say Rosario right now. Good question. Devin says, I feel a lot better than yesterday about the rotation. Good pickup for the Pods. 6-man rotation early in the season is a must and locked up for the postseason. Yeah, I like where the rotation's at right now. Obviously, things could change. Guys could underperform, but guys could also overperform. Seth Lugo could end up working out great in the rotation, and the rotation looks even better than it does now. Um, Look, the Padres, they did what we wanted, right? Some people, they probably wanted Carlos Rodon or Kodai Senga. Like, I would have liked that, but they brought in Xander Bogaerts, right? That's big. They brought back Suarez. They brought back Martinez. They extended Darvish. They brought in Lugo. They brought in Waka. It's not like they didn't do anything to the pitching staff, right? And they can go make trades if they need to before the trade deadline, right? Yeah, Devin says, I just hope the contract details will get released soon. I'm concerned about a potential overpay scenario like Pomerantz. Maybe, but it didn't seem like there were a ton of teams interested in Waka. Maybe that was because of the price tag. So, assuming that he did lower the price tag, maybe there were more teams interested. Probably were. Um, yeah, I mean, this isn't a guy that I want to overpay, like Pomerantz, right? So we'll see. Yeah, just kind of waiting on the contract details. Devin with a question here. With the Waka signing, do you still believe the Padres will be active in the upcoming trade deadline? Yeah. And I wouldn't even say the trade deadline is upcoming because that's months away. Or February 14th, and the trade deadline's at the end of what, July? So yeah, the season hasn't even started. And regardless of what spot the Padres are in, AJ Preller's not someone to say, well, okay, we're first place. Let's say they're in first place by 10 games over the Dodgers, which I don't see happening because the Dodgers, they're a good team. But let's just say they are. I don't see AJ Preller as the guy that's going to sit there and say, we're good. We don't have to be active at all at the trade deadline. We don't have to make any moves. He's always thinking of ways to improve the roster or improve the organization, right? He's always doing that. So, yeah, they're going to be active at the trade deadline. I don't know if they're going to make a move. Like, obviously, I can't tell you that when the season hasn't even started yet, but it's AJ Preller. He's going to be active. He's not the Rockies GM that's going to sit there and do nothing. Devin also says here, I prefer Soto in left than right field. I feel like Soto wasn't very comfortable playing the porch area in right field, in my opinion. Honestly, I think right field is a tricky position sometimes to work around. I agree. Right field's tough. There's a lot of room that guys have to cover, right? And I do prefer Soto in left than right. I think with Fernando's range, his athleticism, I think it would be more limited in left field. Right field, there's more room. And you have Grisham center that can cover some room in the left center gap, right? And he is a lefty. I think he throws lefty. I know he's lefty at the plate. So his glove hand is on the right side, which is in the left center gap, right? It's closer to the left center gap than his throwing arm. That might not seem like a big difference, but it can be a difference on balls that he's diving for, right? You don't have to reach over. Your glove's right there. Um, I like Soto in left. I agree. Alex says Waka is a better fourth pitcher. Give Niebla time he will be a sub-3 guy next year. I don't know about a sub-3 ERA. That's like an ace. A sub-3 ERA, you're an ace. I don't know if Wacha's gonna be an ace for the Padres, but I think he could build off of the year that he had last year. Maybe he stays more healthy than he did last year, or he develops a new pitch, or his pitch repertoire gets stronger. Uh, Maybe the ERA is a little bit lower than it was last year, but he had a solid year last year. Like, he had a good year. Um, Maybe he pitches more innings than he did last year. I don't know about sub-3 ERA, like, that's asking a lot. I'm not putting those expectations on him. Like, this guy's a 4 or a 5 starter in the rotation. I think asking him to have a sub-4 ERA, asking him to stay healthy, keep the Padres in games, especially with the offense they have, give the Padres 5, 6 innings every time out, preferably more like 6. That's probably my expectations for Wacha. That's what I wanna ask for Wacha. Will with the question here, why is Fernando not locked into right field yet? Yeah, I mean, because I think injuries could happen in spring training, trades could happen. I think they just don't wanna commit to that, where with Soto, we know that Soto's going to be on the team. He's gonna be playing on opening day. We know Tatis is gonna be on the team. I'm not saying we don't know that. I'm just saying, like, at the beginning of the season, we know Soto's going to be in the lineup. And so they're just saying, "Okay, Soto, you're a star player here. You're going to be in the lineup opening day. We're giving you this position. We don't want you going to different positions in spring training, wasting time at a different position when you're not gonna play that. Like, just go focus on left field because we know he's not the strongest defender, like, let's be honest, right? So, just give him that time to work on left field all spring training long, all WBC. I don't know where he's gonna play in the WBC, but hopefully Nelson Cruz, the GM of the DR, can say, "Yeah, well, I know my team's gonna have Soto play left field, so let's have my team, the DR, my other team, let's have them play let's have Soto play left field, in the WBC." Because I need to look up the Team DR roster and see if, it would work out for Soto to play left field. Like, maybe it wouldn't work for DR. Okay, so they have Julio Rodriguez, he would probably play center. The other outfielders, Teoscar Hernandez, he's played right field before, I believe. Eloy Jimenez. Okay, so the 4 outfielders, Soto, Rodriguez, Eloy Jimenez, and Teoscar Hernandez. So, would they rather have Teoscar in right field, or would they rather have Soto in right field for Team DR? I think they could live with Teoscar being in right field. And would Eloy be the DH, or he wouldn't? No, no, no. He wouldn't be the DH, right? They're stacked on the infield. Manny's at third. They could have Pena, someone like that, be at short. Devers DHing. Vlad at first. They have Wander Franco. They have Willie Adames. They have Gene Segura, Ketel Marte. Yeah, so, um, yeah, Eloy Jimenez or Teoscar Hernandez will probably be on the bench, one of those guys. And Soto will either be in left or right with Julio Rodriguez in center. Um, yeah, so just getting back to your question, I think he is in right field, but the Padres, they just want to lock him into right field in case other things happen. There is going to be a competition for that starting right field spot in spring training, with probably Engel, David Dahl. I don't know how much of a chance Zokar has, but we'll see. Yeah, Bobani says it's a good move for us, the Wacha move. I agree. Alex with a comment here, say Lugo moves to the bullpen and someone's doing good. You can trade bullpen guys, cough, cough, palm now or at the deadline. Yeah. I don't think Pomerantz has much value right now. so I don't see Pomeranz being dealt right now. The latest update from Bomel on him is that he's gonna have some limits to start spring training, but he should be ready to go by opening day, so that's good news, but you can't count on him. So, yeah, maybe if Pomeranz is healthy at the trade deadline and a team's willing to take on salary, then they'll do it. And that would allow Lugo, yes, to move to the bullpen. That does make sense, Alex. But right now, I don't see the Padres trading Pomeranz because I don't think that there's a ton of value. Alex with the question here: when can Wacha show up to spring? Will it take time, or is he already in Arizona? I have no idea. I don't know if he's in Florida. I have no idea where he is, but he can get on a flight. He'll probably be here. Well, he will be here, I would think, sometime this week, and then get going. Because he is one of the last free agents to sign. There's plenty of free agents out there, but I'm talking about like the big free agents. He's one of the last free agents to sign. So, yeah, I think he'll show up this week. The deal has not been made official as of 9:27 a.m. Pacific time on February 14th, but um, he'll be in Peoria sometime this week. We don't know how long the deal is. Mido in the chat here says the contract is pending physical. I didn't see that. I mean, I assume the contract's pending a physical because all the reports have agreed to that. Yeah, I don't see anything. I don't know if it's a 1-year deal, a 2-year deal. We don't know that yet. All right, I'll get back to the chat. Any questions, any comments, feel free to put them in there. If you want to join the show, go up to the top, the pinned comment on YouTube, and click that link if you want to give your thoughts on Wacha, on the Padres, how you like the team shaping up right now. But first, this episode is sponsored by Gaglione Bros famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries. Their main location is on Friars Road, and you can visit gaglionebros.com for their menu and contact information. You can also enjoy their cheesesteaks and fries at Petco Park and inside Snapdragon Stadium. All right, back to the chat here. Devin says the Padres were also in on Cole Hamels. Thankfully, they went with Wacha. I personally prefer a younger pitcher rather than a veteran like Hamels. Hamels is washed. Yeah, Hamels. He his situation. If the Padres were to sign him, I guess they could still sign him, but he would be like probably a invite to spring training, a non-roster invitee. They weren't going to give him a major league guarantee contract like they're giving Michael Wacha. Did Hamels pitch last year? I don't think Hamels even pitched last year at the big league level. Let me check. I think he signed with the Dodgers and then he got shut down because he got hurt. Yeah. Last time he pitched was with Atlanta. 1 game, 3 1/3 innings in that one start and gave up 3 runs. Yeah. So he has not appeared in the big leagues in a while. So, yeah, it would not be a major league roster spot. So even if they do sign Hamels or if they did, I wouldn't have been like pissed off about it, like because it wouldn't have been like, oh, Padres are signing Cole Hamels to be the 4 starter. That's not how it would have been. But yeah, Wacha's obviously the better option right now. We'll see again. We'll see what Wacha does. Like there are questions with Lugo. How long is he going to last in the rotation? There are questions with Martinez, like how effective is he going to be as a starter the whole year, assuming that he is going to be a starter the whole year. Wacha, can he repeat last year? Can he improve on last year? Can he stay healthy like he has the last 3 full seasons for the most part? I know he was on the IL with the shoulder issue a little bit last year, but it wasn't for a long period of time. And most years, there will be a setback at some point. And sometimes pitchers go on the IL and they say that they're going on the team says they're going on the IL for a certain thing, and it's not really that big of a deal. They just do that to miss a start, miss a couple starts, just to give them a break, maybe dead arm, and then they're good. It's not that big of a deal. So, yeah, just again, like I said earlier, I expect Wacha to be healthy, be a 4-5 caliber starter, and hopefully gain our trust, and we can be confident that he's gonna be better than Clevenger or Manaea was in the postseason, which that's not that high of a bar, right? Alex says, "I wonder if they can still give Hamels a spring training invite, see what he got." Yeah, I mean, I think he would accept it unless there's, like, a bigger offer somewhere, like millions of dollars somewhere, which there's not gonna be. Hometown guy, yeah, I think he would be open to it. I think his agent is John Boggs, who I had on the show. He was Tony Gwynn's agent. He's Pierce Johnson's agent. Um, so yeah, I think he would be open to it if there's not a better deal. I think Hamels would sign here over another team, partly because we are a contender, right? Even if he's in, or maybe he doesn't want to sign here. Maybe he wants to go to like the Nationals or something like that, or the A's, and have a better chance at making the big league roster, have more of an opportunity, and then get traded somewhere, and a team is willing to take him on now that he's proven that he can be healthy. Because he did sign with the Dodgers, I think it was last year, and he didn't stay healthy, right? Like it was immediate. Like he signed and then they shut him down. Like I think it was a couple weeks later. Um, so maybe he just needs to go prove himself. Maybe a contender's like, no, we're not going to sign you. We'll trade for you, give another team like a low level prospect for you if you can prove you can be healthy, but we're not going to bring you on right now. You got to prove it to us. Devin asking me to discuss Luis Camposano. Yeah, I mean, I think he's on the field taking BP right now. I saw that earlier this morning from someone on Twitter. So I think with Campy, the question for him, like, how much playing time is he going to get this season? Like, is he going to earn it? Like Bob Melvin has said that to the media. Like it's up to Camposano. I think he said it in the Q&A with Kevin Acee the other week. I think it was last week in the Union Tribune. Like Acee asked him about Campy, and he was like, "It's up to Luis. Like he's got to earn it. He's got to earn that playing time." Austin Nola is the starting catcher. He's earned it. The pitching staff trusts him, and especially with like the pitch com stuff and the pitchers, I believe this year they're going to be able to relay what they want to throw to the catcher because of the clock, like to make the process faster. And Nola is familiar with that. I'm not saying Campy isn't, but the pitchers are familiar with Nola. They trust Nola. There's a reason why he was catching every postseason game last year, and they didn't let Campy touch the field, right? So Campy's going to earn that. He's got to earn that, and I think he's willing to put in the work. I mean, he's already in spring training. I assume that he didn't just get to spring training. Um, so yeah, I think he's going to get playing time. I think he's going to earn playing time. I don't know if he's going to be like the starting catcher by the end of the season. Maybe that comes 2024. Um, I'm kind of higher on the catching situation than probably some are, to be honest. Maybe that's one of the weaknesses of the team, you would say, the bench depth, the catching situation. But I like Nola, like especially with the offense, the lineup that we have. Tatis coming back, Bogarts, Cruz, Carpenter. You don't need Austin Nola to be this amazing offensive player. It would help, but him hitting eighth or ninth, that's not the end of the world if he's good defensively. I know we want someone who can throw out runners, right? And he might get more exposed this year because of the new pickoff rules, right? If you disengage from the rubber twice, well, if you do it again, you got to throw the guy at first base out, or else he gets second base. I think it's deemed a balk, so that could hurt the Padres if Nola can't throw out runners. So if Campy can develop and hit, be consistent, that might help or that will help the Padres. I see Bomani here in the room. I think he wants to talk. Oh, he just went away. All right. If you want to come back on, feel free to hit that link. Um, going back on to the chat. Wacha is 6'6". Someone here says, I didn't know that. Yeah, Wacha, he is a tall guy. I didn't know that. I knew that he was tall. You guys want some more background on Wacha? So he was drafted by the Cardinals first round, 2012. Went to Texas A&M. He's 6'6", 215. Right-hander. Was an all-star. Was the NLCS MVP. I forget what year. Was that 20? When did they go? 2013? Might have been 2013. He had a 2.78 ERA his rookie year. So, yeah, that might have been 2013. Because I know they made it to the World Series that year. Lost to the Red Sox. And 2015 was Mets Royals in the World Series. So, yeah, I think it must have been 2013. But yeah, he spent, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, 7. 7 years with the Cardinals, and they didn't bring him back in free agency. He signed with the Mets, and then spent 1 year there, the short season. Signed with the Rays in 2021, signed with the Red Sox in 2022. And then he was pretty much just hanging around in free agency, asking for probably more than what he was going to, well, definitely more, not probably. He was asking for more than what he was going to get in free agency. It was like 2 years, 30 mil, and teams were not going to pay that for Michael Wacha. How old is he? He's only 30. Okay, I thought he was more like 33, 34. So he's only 30. But he did come into the league at a young age, 21. He does have a lot of years under his belt. He has 10 years under his belt, over 1,150 innings under his belt, a lot of innings. Not 2,000, but there's a good workload there. So we'll see what the Padres can get out of him. Again, still waiting on the terms. Oh, okay. Bob Melvin has spoke to the media, so I can play that here for you if you want me to. This was this morning. Sammy Levitt, I believe, is in Peoria for 97.3 The Fan, so I'm getting the video from there. But here was Bob Melvin about the benefits of a six-man rotation, what the benefits were last year.
Really, what I learned, the feedback I got from the starters, that it allowed them to prepare a little bit differently, and whether it was a higher pitch count that we were able to do with some guys maybe early on, but taking advantage of that extra day seemed to, all our guys were on it. I was a little concerned about it early on. So, you look at what do we got, 24 games, 25 days early on. We rely on our starters. They were fresh at the end of the year. There were a lot of things that popped up because of this. So if we were able to do it, I wouldn't put it past us doing it again.
Translation, we're probably doing the six-man rotation again to start the season. Like, it did provide benefit for the Padres, giving Musgrove, giving Darvish that extra day of rest. And I think it will help ease Martinez into the rotation, ease Lugo into the rotation. Give that extra day, get going during the season, and that will also give the Padres some time to evaluate Lugo, see how long they can put him in the rotation for. And then if it's not working out, all right, then you can go to the 5-man, put Lugo into the bullpen, and then keep Wacha in the rotation. Bob Melvin, he was also asked if he thought using a six-man rotation, if his thoughts have changed since implementing it last season.
It has. I mean, the guys that I had been with before, the 5-day routine is something that they really wanted to adhere to and didn't feel like you need more rest. You get off days during the course of the season that you get an extra day, typically a lot anyway, but it was more getting the feedback from the starters that they enjoyed it, especially some of maybe, our key guys like, Joe and you. and use a guy that likes to get out there and pitch. And he even said, this is something that, is keeping me a little bit fresher.
Well, in Japan, right? Japan, I think that's why Otani's doing the 6-man rotation. That's why the Angels are doing it, because Otani was used to doing it in Japan, I think. So maybe Darvish is like, oh, I like this. I like doing this again. It does give him that extra rest. Bob Melvin here asked if he has had conversations with Juan Soto about the position that he'll play this season. As I said earlier, it's going to be left field, which is as expected.
Yeah, I think left is what we're going to work on with him and try to keep him in one spot. So that was the conversation I had with him.
And he espoused the importance of being in that one spot.
Right. Yeah, he'll play anywhere. He just wants to be able to. He's his preparation's pretty epic. Whether it's what he does, on the offensive end, but defense too. So he'd like to be able to prepare in the same position. He would be open for anything, but I think it makes sense to try to keep him in one spot.
There you go. Preparation from Juan Soto is pretty epic, according to his manager Bob Melvin. That's not surprising. Like, for people, if there's any fans out there that think that because Juan Soto isn't the best defender there in the outfield, if those fans think that he doesn't work hard, you're wrong. I mean, this guy does put in the work. Definitely, it seems like he is one of the harder workers in the league. Manny puts in the work. Cronenworth puts in the work. It seems like Tatis is definitely putting in the work this offseason. They put in the work. This is a group of guys that really wants to win and do whatever it takes to win. So I think Soto, he will do better defensively this year than he did last year. And hopefully 2024, he will do better then than he does in 2023. Like, just continue to develop, continue to get comfortable out there, be confident out there. I think that's going to help him. And knowing where you're going to be, left field, right? They're not switching him back and forth, left field, right field, because those are different angles off the bat, right? Just stay in left field. I think that can only help for the Padres. So I'm glad that they, figured this out, at the beginning of spring training. Anything else here from Bob Melvin? I do see Bomani back here in the chat, or in the room here. Do you want to come on, Bomani? Bomani, you're on. Oh, I don't think he's listening. All right. So Bob Melvin here. We already hit on that one on Juan Soto. This one is about Tatis playing the outfield and how Profar kind of had to get used to it, playing the outfield, because he was an infielder for a lot of his career with Texas and with Oakland. So here's that.
We still have to get through spring, and then there's 20 games before, if we're talking about the same guy. Yeah, he's open to anything.
Oh, could it benefit him to have that consistency of being in one place?
I don't think so. Look, I think the outfield, we talked about it too. He hasn't played in, a year plus, and shortstop's a pretty taxing position. He's had 2 surgeries this year. I don't know that the outfield takes a little off his plate, some as well. But look, from where he's come from, he just wants to play and contribute and get out on the field, and does a lot of his damage with the bat in his hand. We still have to get.
Yeah, and so with Bob Melvin, I agree with what he's saying there. With Tatis, like, his biggest, I know his athleticism is huge, but what we want about Tatis this year, or what we care about the most, is his bat, right? The guy hit 42 home runs in 2021, and he was dealing with subluxations, shoulder subluxations all year long. He's just super, super talented with the bat. And in that leadoff spot, he can be huge for the Padres. So I don't really think it matters what position he's playing. I think right field seems like the obvious position. Devin here says in the chat, Wacha signed a 1-year deal, money still not disclosed. 1-year deal. Let me look at that. I don't see that on Twitter, but if it's a 1-year deal, that's expected. I'm not surprised by that. He just wasn't. Again, he was not going to get 2 years, $30 million from a team. I know he had a good year, but they weren't. I don't think teams view him as highly as he viewed himself, at least at the start of the offseason. It's kind of like Profar, right? He has to lower his sights. Like, there were people thinking he was going to get 5 years, 75 mil, like Andrew Benintendi got. Like, that wasn't going to happen. Not going to happen. He's got to lower his sights, and then he'll find a team that's interested in him. Here's Bob Melvin on Michael Wacha, his pitching style, his pitching style. Sorry, that was the video was already playing before I started here. So again, here's Bob Melvin on Michael Wacha.
Confirm anything as far as that goes yet. Just from afar, he looks like, from everything I've heard about him, he's all about team. He's a gamer, just wants to win, and so we'll see where that goes. Yeah, I can't confirm anything as far as.
All right, so pretty much nothing there. Can't confirm anything. Like I said earlier, you weren't going to get anything out of Bob Melvin today because it's not confirmed. We don't know the money. Like, none of that is out there. Usually when someone signs a contract or when that leaks, like, we know the years, we know the money from one of the reporters. Like, we don't even know that. It was just walking to the Padres. So we'll see what happens on that front. And so stay tuned to Talking Friars on social media, Twitter, Instagram for all that. Thank you so much for watching, listening, tuning in here, episode 337 of Talking Friars. Have a great Tuesday, everyone. And I'll talk to you guys later. See ya. Go Pods.